So, all right, guys, let's continue with the next part. So today, guys, I am going to explain you one more basic core feature that normally we use in the programming world. Yeah, like I told you already, Ansible is also is not a programming language, but it work like a programming language. It is a framework on the top of. I can use now one term. Ansible is a framework on the top of Python. I can say because almost all the module of the Ansible is built on using the Python language. So Ansible is a one framework. I can say it's pre-created frames for something or for one thing. Okay, because if you go to Python as a language, if you go to Python as a language, Python is a general purpose language you can use for web development. Even though nowadays we can use Python also for mobile apps also, and something else, right? But so somebody has created some one tool, I can say, on the top of Python that is only used for configuration management. So I can say in the simple term, Ansible is a framework for the Python used for configuration management. Or because a framework, and normally if some tool or framework is available, so they support a basic concept of the programming language, maybe conditions or maybe loop. So guys, today's topic is about loop. Technically very simple topic. I can cover this topic in very 5 minutes also, but I'm going to explain you a lot of concept that we use related with the loop. So guys, anybody have heard about for loop or for each loop, or maybe you guys have heard about collections called dictionary or hashes or something like this. So we are going to touch lots of topic, maybe hashes or dictionary or collections, right? um, and we apply the loop over there. Okay, so that's the guy's high level plan. So complete topic for today is loop, but there's lots will be lots of concepts we are going to cover and discuss today. So everything will be practical today. Because what is loop, I believe we know. But let me start with very basic concept or very basic example that will also give you the idea what is loop and how we can use the loop with the Ansible. Okay, so let me guys start this instance, then we'll move to the direct loop concept. So let the instance come up. But the meantime, let me also open the document for today. It didn't. One minute, please. So let's continue, guys. I think my instance come up. So this would be. So sorry, guys. This would be today my target node. Okay, and obviously this would be my controller node. Guys, we are also doing one more small thing for you. We are trying. We'll update guys the next week. We are trying to guys connect with the Red Hat and some of the core developers or the or I can say the associate and something like this, a community member of the Red Hat, and try to arrange guys one use case kind of talk over here at in your batch. So they will talk about how they are using the Ansible, what kind of use case they're solving, or maybe they are also trying to show you some demo of the real industry use case that they solve with the Ansible. So you will get guys also the real practical or real industry kind of use case in this class. So we are trying to arrange one or maybe two different assessors from different corporate guys from the Red Hat. So so we'll guys update you. We'll trying and let's see how it work out. Okay, so let me open the terminal. So let me start from here. Workspace, let's say 17th maybe. Okay, and what I'm doing here, you guys know we have created a playbook, very simple playbook that will go and install some software on some of the IP, let's say 155, and we have written one task. And task, you guys know, package task. Okay, and let's say we have a requirement to install a software called HTTP. And my requirement is, my state is, I want this software present. Very straightforward. Nothing very fancy. But there might be requirement, guys, in one single in one single inventory or this particular IP address. I would like to install multiple software. Maybe I would like to install HTTP software, or maybe I would like to install one more software called, let's say, PHP. So we can do one more thing. We can write my task one more time and say this time the software name is called PHP. We can do it, right? So finally, when I run this code, they will run the first task. And in the first task, they will install this software. They run second task, they will install this software. But you know what, guys? It is not good practice. If you are, finally, they will install whatever your requirement is. But it's not good practice. Finally, uh, we are installing two software, but for installing two software, we write a code two times, or we are calling a package model two times. A package model is calling the behind the scene yum command two times. So if you have one a requirement to install some software, maybe one or 10, so if you call yum command once, okay, or you call yum command 10 times, so it will consume 10 times more CPU time and it will impact your overall performance. So technically what I'm talking about, very straightforward, I think you might understood. What I'm talking about, whenever you run this task, you guys, for example, if they're running this task on the Red Hat, so behind the scene, this task will call the yum command and ask to install the software. Yum command load on the RAM, they install the software, and then this program exit. Then again we run package module again, and again they will call yum command one more time. Again yum command will load on the RAM. Again run the go to CPU and do the same thing. Software may be different, but they do the same thing. It means if you call package module two time, two time they call the yum command. So finally they are unwanted wasted your RAM and mainly the CPU. Or I can, if they will increase the CPU, or I can set a time complexity, if you guys know this term. Okay, so to optimize your code, what can we do? Okay, pretty simple. I have to install two software or maybe 10 software. Rather than I'll call the package module, or behind the scene they will call yum command multiple times. For example, if you install 10 software, they will call 10 times. We'll call the package module only once, or internally they call yum command only once. And here we can give the list of the software. List of the software. But understand one thing. Understand one thing. um, um, if you have this kind of requirement come up, okay, requirement is, I'm going to give you a software name called HTTPD, do something on the software. Then I'm going to give you one more software called PHP, do something on the software. Then I'm going to give you one more software called ABC, do something on the software. Okay, so technically it is known as list in the language. And guys, in the term of list, in the list, these are known as data. Typically these are known as item. And when I want to do something on the item, same thing on the item. Take this software, install it. Take this software, install it. Go to third item, install it. Okay. And normally in the language, it is done by a loop. And this kind of loop is known as iteration. And normally in the language, iteration has been done by a for loop. Okay. So if you go to Python or maybe other language, for loop is the one who will pick the item, do something, pick the item, do the same thing, pick the item, do the same thing. So in the for loop, we create a block of code and they will do the same thing for you. Okay. Same thing for you. Before this, we have to do two things. So if you want, package module will write once, they will call the yum command once, and we can iterate with the multiple items again and again. That's called loop. Okay. And technically, if you want to go for a loop called for loop in the Ansible, so how we can do? Okay, so for this, for this, how we can do it is something like this. But because before I take this example, I just want to explain this example one more time with the Python language. Maybe guys, you might know Python. So let's say I have a list of packages. One package called httpd, one package called php, one package called let's say xyz. So the list we have, and my requirement is to take this item, do something. Take this item, install the software. Take this item, install the software. So normally in the Python we use for loop, and say for loop, I am asking you go in this list, pick first item, store this item in some temporary variable here called I, and then what? Do something on that. For example, I'm just printing here, but maybe in my case I will call the yum command. Yum command will go and install the software. For just for demonstration, I'm just printing here. So they pick one, they print, they pick one, they print, they pick third one, and last one they print. Okay, guys, this is a very simplest example in the Python language. Other language, some language also have this kind of syntax. Okay, but technically in this example, why I'm given this example, there's a reason over here. If you talk about the for loop, they will go to this list and keep on picking. This is known as a loop, but they are applying this loop on I variable. And what is I? I is one of the item at that point in time. Okay, and what I can say, I is the, I can say I is also one kind of temporary variable here that contain one item at that point in time. HTTPD, then PHP and XYZ. And what we are doing with that depend, guys, what exactly we have. So this is a block of code. Maybe you're printing, or maybe you're installing the software with yum command. That would be your choice. So this will be my block of code. Okay, so guys, this is a syntax for normal programming language. But if you go for Ansible, syntax might be different, but logic wise they are same. So again, guys, in the Ansible, we have to use some keyword like for. And by chance in the Ansible, we don't have for keyword, but instead of for, we have a keyword called loop actually. So we have to use a keyword called loop in the Ansible. And good thing in, guys, in the Ansible, okay, normally in the Python or this kind of language, we have to create our own temporary variable. You can give any name I, J, A, B, C. But in Ansible, guys, they have a pre created temporary variable, and by chance the name of that temporary variable is again item, or I think item something, item. So they have a pre-created variable name called item. So you have to use item. So technically, if you give the list, so first value is stored in this variable, then second value again is stored in this value, third value again is stored in this value. Like here, they are storing in the item. Okay, and then whatever you want to do here, this is a block of code. So in our case, the block of would be our module name, package module, service module, debug module, whichever the module we would like to use, that will be our task, that will be our block of code. So logic wise, they are exactly the same if you know Python or shell scripting or some other languages. Okay, but Ansible syntax might be a little bit different. Okay, so let me show you guys how we can do this. So first of all, I have to install two software, so we don't have to call packages two times. Okay, so what we'll tell to the packages that we are going to write a loop. So we have a keyword called loops. And in this loop, I am giving you a list. And guys, we can directly give the list here. Okay, we can actually give the list here. So we can, you guys know in the Ansible how we give the list. We use the hyphen and say one of the item on my list is httpd, and I have one more item in my list called php. That's all. So guys, whenever you want to create a list, either you can directly give the list to the loop, the way we can give in the Ansible Python also. We can directly give the list here, 1, 2, 3. And we can ask in the Python, just do something on that. So for the loop, we are giving the list direct. Okay, same thing. By chance in the Ansible, we have to use one minute. We have to create a list with the hyphen with the equal indentation. Okay, so we have created a list, and I'm asking my for loop here by chance the keyword called loop, and say pick this item and stored in some temporary variable. By chance, guy, here in the Python, the temporary variable name is not I or J. They have a pre-created temporary variable, and the name of the temporary variable is called item. Okay, but let's say they stored this value in the I variable. Okay, so where you have to use I. So guys, in the normally loop, uh, we have to use this I in your block of code, in your print statement, or maybe in yum command. Same thing I'm doing here. Okay, so let's say this value is stored in the I variable. So we have to use the I in this block of code. Where? Here, where we're using the name. So we have to use I variable here. But I told you guys here the variable name is not I. There's a predefined variable, and by chance the name of that variable is item. Okay, so we have to use item here. Or because this is a variable, so we have to use variable behind this Jinja variable concepts. Okay, that's all, guys. And I think this might be loop. I think. Okay, or I think this might be item. Let's see. They will give it the error. Otherwise, you can go and check the document. So, guys, you know what happened? Syntax will be different, but if you see, it is exactly like this. So this is a list we have given. Here we have given the list of the software. First, where name is stored in variable called I. Here by chance the name is called item. Okay, and after they will do something on the block of code. And so this is my block of code. They will call the yum, install the software. Again, loop run. So we write the code once. They call the package model once. They call the yum command once, and we install multiple software. So guys, whenever you have this kind of loop requirement, you can use loop keyword. That's all. Okay, so let me go and check my code. Ansible playbook. Let me check. Here, items is not defined. I told you we don't have to remember the keywords. Either just go to the documents and just try it. Right? Why we have to remember item or items? Okay, so it might be item. Okay. And one more thing, guys, I just want to tell you, in the older version of of the Ansible, the keyword was not loop. Nowadays they change. Okay, in the older version, the keyword was instead of loop, they have a keyword called with items. So this was the keyword. Okay. Now I think in this new version, both the keyword support, but this keyword look very much illogical with items, right? So they have changed this keyword to loop. That makes logical sense because there's a loop, right? So I am discussing to you. If you see any code in the Ansible, if you see a keyword called with item, it means they're talking about loop only. Okay. So in the older version, we use this keyword with items. Okay, so they run successfully. If you guys notice here, very simple thing, they run the task only once, but in one task they install multiple softwares. Hey guys, know because of the green, this means software installed there, but obviously we don't have to go and check there. So guys, this is the way we can create the loop. Now here you can use debug or package service, whatever you want, you can store here. Okay, but sometime is always good to directly give your values here or list here the way I did, or maybe I did in this example. But most of the time, we always create a list in the separate variables, like in Python, and we give the variable name here. Most of the times, this has a better way to manage your code. Same thing we can do here. So what I'm doing here, first of all, let me share this code. And what I'm going to create, I'm going to create a variable here. And I also told you guys, it always good practice to create a variable, not in this file, create a separate file for this. It is good for management. And I'm going to create a variable, let's say X. And this variable has till date, we have seen this variable has one value. Okay. So I can say this X is just a variable, just a variable that has one value. But if you want to make X is not a single normal variable, if you want to make X a list or a array. Okay, so how can you do? You can use stdpd. I will install php also here. So guys, in the in the Ansible, we don't use in this way. We have to give in the next line and provide hyphen, and no, we don't put comma here. Also we put hyphen. So in this example, x is not a normal variable, it become a list or the array. And why we have array? Because they have two items. Why we have two items? Because all the items start with hyphen. Sorry. So guys, I'm so sorry. So x is a variable, and because x is a variable, x is a list. And normally if we want to do something on the list, we always iterate the list, means we create a loop. So now what can we do? We can directly give x here. X here. So this code is again the same. Instead we create the list here, we are getting the list from the variable that we created in this file in the top, or maybe we create in a separate file, and that file we include. So if you see the output would be the same. Okay, output will be same. So in very data path, why this error come up? Maybe store in this way. 1 minute, please. So that is the way we have to use, the way always we use the variable. So guys, normally if you want to use a variable in a modules or somewhere, we have to always put in the string interpolation. Some of the module by chance or some of the keyword of the module by chance have a capability to directly use the variable. If you guys know debug, if you know debug, so debug has a capability. I show you already. So in the debug, if you want to directly use the variable, they have a var attributes. So some of the by chance attribute has a capability. You can give a variable name directly. Otherwise, mostly we have to put in the string interpolation. Okay, but let me run this code. Now we have two tasks. They will install the software, and this task will only print this list just for testing. This list. So guys, still here, pretty straightforward. If you want to loop around the code, you can do in this way. But if your data type is a little bit complex, okay, little bit complex, or I can say you have a collections of data. Okay, sometime you can also use a word called your data structure is a little bit different. So how can we use a different or complex type of data structure, or what I mean by this? So let me explain you in this way. So this is a very straightforward example. I just wanted to show you one small use case plus how to use the loop here. Okay, but there might be possibility you have a different little bit complex kind of data uh, structure here or data type here. Okay, what I mean by this. So let me first clean this example. Okay, pretty simple example. We have a single x as a variable that has a two values. Okay, so right now guys, they will only because I asked the debug, they will debug the entire variable here. And this symbol said this variable is a list that has two values. But there might be a case that you want to only print the first one or second one. So you can use here the way we use in normal variable. I can say 0. So first value has a person 0, second value has a person 1. So we can ask this guy and say, can you only print the first value? They will print the first value for you. So very simple example here. And now it is your choice. You want to print or you want to use somewhere, maybe package module or service module. That would be your choice. Okay. But guys, in this data structure, we have some limitation. Okay, but before I explain this limiter, let me take a very simple use case of the Linux. I think that use case may be good enough to explain you what is the limitation I'm talking about. But till here, I think you've really understood a very simple logic of any of the programming language. Okay, so let me guys first go to some small topic of Linux. It take only 2-5 minutes, then I come back and that topic might give a logical understanding what complex data type I'm talking about. Okay, so I think guys, most of guys might know one command in Linux called user add. So if you want to create some new user in your Linux, let's say I'm going to create a user called jack1. So jack1 user will create, by chance my system already have, let's say make it jack2. So in my system new account has been created. So for this we have a command called user add. And if you want to change the password or set the password for this user, we have passwd command, and we can set the password. So password for jack2 has been created. Okay, so very simple thing. But by chance I know the Linux commands, so I can set the password, I can create the accounts. But again, the perspective of the again, what I'm doing some configuration here, but this configuration is manual and it is not at all intelligent. But if you use the Ansible, so we don't have to go for manual, and they have some module available to set the password or to to create the user. Just go to Ansible doc and you can find it. And good thing about module is no, you guys know, if the Ubuntu command is different, if Windows command is different, for example, so you don't have to worry about to knowing their respective command. That what you guys know already. Okay, but let me do one more small thing here. So let me do one more small thing here. Before this, let me give you one extra information you guys might again might know. Whenever you create a user, user information guys stored in this file. It's called etc passwd file. Okay, you can see jack2 user has been created. But whenever you set the password or change the password information guys of the user is stored in the file called shadow file. So this is a file guys that contain all the password, all the user, whatever we have till date in the system. So you can see the jack2, this is the password we have set. But jack1, the user that I created in my last classes, I haven't set the password. You can see this bank symbol means exclamation password is not yet set. It's locked. Okay, very simple thing. Or you guys might know one more thing in the Linux. There's a lot of reasons why we do this. See, we always create a group. Okay, so for example, I'm going to create a group called let's say Linux World 123. So one group we created, and normally guys in a group, okay, normally in a group, for example, the group I created is called Linux World 123, and we associate multiple user to this group, and technically it's called members. For example, I create Jack3 user and say Jack3, you are a user, you can log in, but you are a part of this group. So why we are doing this? There's some technical reason in the Linux. So anybody who wanted to know why we do this. So in my IIC Rise class, I taken a detailed class on user add and the groups of 2 or 3 classes. I explain everything there. Okay, so just go through this class. But one of the simple reason is to manage some security and permission. We can say anybody who belong to this group has this much power. So all the users, maybe Jack1, Vimal, Amit. So what a power we give to the this group, all the user will have the same power. Okay, something like this. Okay, so this is not the pure Linux class, but why I'm doing this thing, there's for a reason for this. So what I'm going to do, so now whatever guys, whenever you create a new user, let's say Jack3, so we can tell Jack3, now you are the part of this group. So for this in the Linux, we have a different command altogether. Bison command is a user add, but they have an option called capital G. So this user will create, but now from onward, this user is a member of this group. And before guys, I run this command, let me open new terminal here. Okay. So if you want to see all the group created in your system, we have a file called etc group. So this is the command guys, or this is a file that tell you that how many groups we have in this computer. So if you see guys, we have only one group called Linux World 123. And the last, if you see there's none of the name come up, it means in this group till now, I don't have any member. It's called user member. As soon as I run this command will do 2 things for you. One, they create a user, and second, they will make this user a member of this group. And how can I verify? Again, if you go to this file, now you can see now this group has one more member. Or you can create a more member here. For let's say I would have to create Vimal also a member of this group, or Jack1 also a member of this group. Now challenge guys in this command, if the user already created, okay, you can't create this user again with user add. So if you want to make this user that is already created a member of the group, then we have a different command called user mode. Okay, so finally, you know what I'm trying to tell you guys here is okay, if you do things with the manual or Linux command, you should know multiple options. You should know if the user not already exists, use user modification command. If the user is new one we are creating, use a user add command. Okay, so lots of concepts and combination we have to know. Okay, then thing will work for us. That's the good thing. Now this group has two members, and why we're doing this is not right now important, but maybe if we give this group some power, automatically this user will automatically get that particular power in my Linux OS after the login. Okay, but if you do the same thing, if you do the same thing with Ansible, you don't have to know these much combinations, or user mode command or user add command and these command. And again it will be always independent or agnostic, means you can use any of the OS. Same Ansible code will work for you. So a lot of benefit you guys know about Ansible you'll get. Okay, so let's me let me try guys try to create a code with the Ansible. And what I'm going to do, I'm running this code in my local computer just for testing. It means when I run this code, they will create everything in my own computer. That's called localhost. So this IP belong to your own computer. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to run a task. And if you search in the Google that does we have any module that will help me to create a user, you will get a user module. And maybe you can use the Ansible L command or Ansible doc command and open the document for the user. Okay, and what you will find here, let's say we have a requirement. I would like to create a user. So maybe you will get, you can use this one, right? Name keyword. So I can give the name, and let's say name of user I would like to create is called Jack fifth. Okay, now if you go down, all right, you want to set the password. Now in the Linux, we have to use separate command for the password, but here they have an option already available to set the password. Let's say password of this user will have that. That's all. Or maybe if you go just go down and and check more options here. And by chance, anybody who know Linux, they know there's a lot of meaning of cell and other things also. Everything you can do here. Sorry. Okay. And even though in the Linux we have a different command for deleting a user, but they have an option for delete the user. State absent means if the user created, delete this. And state present, if you see in the top in the example, state present means if the user is not created, install for or create for us. So let me create a use option called state present. Okay. So guys, this will this model has an item potency feature. If the user created with this password, okay, they don't do anything. Okay, but if user created with different password, they change the password. If user not created, they will create the user. So everything guys, they will do the thing for you and with the item potency in nature. Okay, so let me show you. So in my system, because I'm running this code in my local computer, so in my system I don't have a user called jack5. Or there's one more way to check guys. In the Linux we have a command called id. So does we have jack5 user created? No. Does we have jack1 created? Yes. But after I run the playbook, Ansible playbook, okay, they will create a jack5 user for me. So pretty straightforward guys, nothing special here. But why I'm discussing this example to, so that anybody who by chance who new in the next, they will be comfortable with this topic. Okay, so finally something changed in my jack5 user created. There's no error come up. Even you can verify from here also. Jack5 created. Okay, but if you run this playbook again, because of the item potence nature, they won't run for you. That's the good thing. Okay, guys, still here, nothing special. But maybe you have a requirement. Maybe you have a requirement. You want this user belongs to this group. This group. So Jack5 is not a member of this group. So for this, you rather than you just learn some more new options and some more command, just one single module, you will just keep on adding the attribute. And guys, by chance, if you see the help of Ansible document and search, do you have any options where I can make my user a member of respective group? So they say yes, you can. The option called groups. And guys, by chance, those anybody who know Linux, so in the Linux there is two different kind of group. One is called primary group and one is called secondary group. Okay, so by chance, if you want to add any user, a member of some group or other group like LW123, that is called secondary group. Means for this user, this group is secondary. Because normally in the Linux, every user has their own personal group also. That is called primary group. That might be reason, guys. If you see this file, you can see whenever you create a user, same name of the user name also come up here. That is actually not the user. There's a group name of Jack3, Jack5, group name of Vimal, and this the group is the primary group of Vimal, primary group of Jack3. But if I add Jack3 here, so in this case, LW123 would be the secondary group of Jack3. So these are actual terminology if you guys know a little bit about Linux basics. Okay, so that's what guys they're talking about which kind of group you wanted. So I don't want a primary group. I want my user to be add in another group. So we have some called groups. Okay. So what I'll do here, I'll just go and add one more attribute and say I have one group. The name of the group is Linux World 123. I want you please go and add me over there. Okay. And now if I run my playbook again, the good thing is they see your user already created password already set and password is the same, but there's something they change in the code or because something they change on the code, or I can say there's one attribute they change on the code. So for that attribute, again, they rerun this task. And now finally, if you see, without knowing the file name on the command, they will add Jack5 also the member of this group. Okay, and again, obviously I run this code, they won't run it. So guys, still here, there's the simple simple task and simple playbook we have run. But you know guys, in this playbook, right, till here, if you have a very limited thing to do, or maybe one user you want to add, maybe two user want to add, that is very okay. I can run this task one more time. But normally guys, it is a very common requirement. Normally when we run the playbook, okay, we have to create lots of users, maybe sometime hundreds of users, or maybe sometime thousands of users. So if you guys know about migration, so maybe these are the users already created in my system, and same user I would have to create in my other computers. Okay, so in this computer I have 1,000 user, so you can use some kind of script. Okay, they will export the user and we import there, something like this, right? So I can simply, you can use the word migration. So let's consider let's consider we have a requirement, okay, that we have to create lots of user, Jack5, Vimal, Ahmed, Eric, right? Lots of user we have to create. And obviously guys, if you create a lot of user, rather than you keep on writing the user, we can put everything in the loop. And how to get a loop? Pretty simple. I can put this block in a loop, and here we can give all the username, all the username, like Jack5, Jack2, something like this. But rather I create the variable here, or my directly list here, I can create a my variables directly here. Okay, now the challenge guys here is the challenge here is there might be possibility, we have to get 10 users. Every user password might be different, and every group, the group name might be different. Maybe 5 user we have same group name, 2 user we have different group name, 3 user we have a different password. Okay, how we can tackle this? One of the we can tackle is so we can say we can say we have a user one as a variable, user one as a variable. and and here in this user I have username called Jack one. And guys, you know, you'll see in some time it look like so much confusing in minute, right? Okay, confusing in terms of management, right? And the group name is LW123. So we create this list for user one, and you guys know how to use this. For example, for example, let's say this is Jack5. So this is a variable, is a list. And you know guys, in this example, and guys, this concept is not only for Ansible, it is same concept apply in all other programming language also. So if I compare this example with the Python, right, or maybe other language, so U1 is a variable and that has a list, and list contain the first item called jack5, second item called password, and third item called last word 123. And who know by chance the first item is username? We as a developer know, and we are the one who know this is the password. Ansible never know, my Python never know, and we who know this is the group name. We know the third item. You guys know in the programming this person is 0, this is 1, and this is 2. So by chance we know person 0 is the username. And because we know this variable person 0 is username, so wherever I want to use this username, I just go here and say just go to user one u1 variable, and we have a person 0, just go and retrieve this value and get the user. So my code will be something like this. My code will be something like this. Okay. Go to this field u1, and in the 0% retrieve this item. Just go to again u1 as a list, and my second position means 1, you have a password. And go to u1 again, my variable, and my third position means index number 2, we have the group. Okay, so it is like a variable, it is parameter. Okay, the good thing about this parameter is we can get the loop. I can say u1. Now guys, you know what, there's no sense here to create a u, right? Because u means you're picking one item and running the entire code. And that point in time uh, that point in time we only have this value in my item, or this value in my what I say, in my my I as a variable, the example that I show you here. Okay, so technically I don't know if you try to understand this example. This example doesn't looks very much proper. Okay, because this example but don't have any uh, uh, I can use this example by chance without the loop here, because we have only one single item. So in this one single item, there's no meaning of the loop. Okay, but guys, here the challenge here is not about the is writing the code or have one single item. If you have lots of user, a lot of user, okay, then how without writing this user block again and again, we can use the for loop. So the problem here is about management of huge data and a lot of data or multi data. Okay, so the biggest challenge here is, if you try to understand, is the biggest challenge is how we can arrange our data. Okay, how we can arrange it right now. The arrangement of the data, it is also known as the data structure, is not at all appropriate. Okay, because in this data we have only one list that has 3 items, and we are the by chance know person 0 is username, person 1 is password, and person 3 is the group name. Okay, but if you have more item come up, more username, more, and every user has their own password, and every user will have their own group name come up. Okay, if this will come up, so this kind of arrangement and the structure of data are called data structure for for management or writing the code or loop won't be appropriate. Maybe somehow you can achieve, but it look very complex and very not very much realistic, or very much not user friendly, I can say. Okay, this is one thing. And second thing, you know what, by chance for one user we have we have 3 information: username, password, and group. But maybe for one user we have a lot of information, maybe mobile number, maybe a shell, home directory, SSS key. There will be lots of guys information, maybe ID of the user, group IDs, maybe 20 different information. So if you arrange this information, you know what happened. Okay, because this is a list, or because this is the list, so Ansible or any language, guys, by default they give a number to you: 0 number, 1 number, 2 number. And guys, this kind of arrangement of the data structure is very dangerous. Okay, why? Maybe guys, somehow in the future the code is very big, I may have multiple members, or maybe Right now we know second person, my person one is a password we apply here. By chance somebody want to add more information, and in between they add the information. Let's say they add one of the IDs called 100. If you do so, the information is stored in this list. But challenge, you know what? The entire code is not corrupted. They work, but the thing that we wanted has been changed. Now, according to this one, they will pick the value from here, second person. So according to code, the second person will password, and they will set the password 101, not the Red Hat. But as my requirement, my password I wanted to be Red Hat. But because I add some information in between or remove from the top or something like this, the entire structure of data has been changed. So the guy, there is a lot of lot of issues if you store data in the list, in the especially in the terms of management. Okay, so what can we do? We can do some kind of different arrangement of the data, okay, a different data structure here. Okay, and the way we can do data structure here, that will give you a lot of benefit. I will show you after we create. But one of the thing, guys, if you see here, okay, by chance, because there's list, and guys, in any of the list, sometime, guys, in some programming language, list is also known as 1D array. So if you talk a 1D array or the list, our operating system, guys, give this numbers 0, 1, and 2, and these are predefined numbers. It's also called index numbers. Or because they give the number, so that is the biggest challenge. If you add some value between, the number of other guys will change. Or my older code are using those references, so everything's been changed. So now what can we do? We can tell my program or my Ansible or my Python or my other languages and say, now I don't want to use 1D array, I don't want to use list as a data structure or data type, I can say. So what I'm going to do, I would like to store multiple data for sure. I would like to store my username, I would like to store my password, I would like to store my group name. But now onward, now onwards, instead I give instead I take the number or position number, index number from the computer, from the programming name, I would like to give my own name. Let's say here I would like to give my name called user. So instead of 0, now onwards my index name is user. Instead of the 1, now onwards my index name is called password. And now onwards, instead of 2, I will give my person number is called group. So guys, there's a way in the programming world we can give our own index names instead of pre-created 0, 1, 2, 3. All right. And you know what is the benefit of this? Okay. The benefit of this is, right, for example, if you have 100 records, or maybe at 78th record, you have a group ID, for example. So you have to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 78, and then over here, maybe somewhere you have to use 78. Okay. But in this case, wherever you have group, you don't have to count the thing, because we know the person name, because we have given group or password, user, or postal code, pin code. We can directly use. Instead of 2, I can say postal code or pin code, something like this. And second benefit is, if you add something in between, because we're not using any position number 0, 1, 2, 3, we are using our own index name. In this world, it is, this index name is also known as key. So we are using our key. So if somebody add or remove between, the number never changes because key is fixed. So it would be something like this. It would be something like this. So we can say, now from, instead Jack will behind the scene get a person number as 0, but I'm giving my own person. Let's say person's one name. Okay, and because this is a YML, so you use column name. Since instead of 101, let me remove this guy for a while. Right, 101. Sorry, instead of Red Hat, I can, by the way, this person is 1, so we can give this person our own name. Let's say password, or maybe P, or let me give this guy as a name called G. So now value is again same, Jack 5, Red Hat, and 1, 2, 3. But now position we define. We give our name, index name, take a name called key, and by this is called key value pair. So we give key value pair. So now when I write my code, I don't have to use 1 here. Instead of 1, I can say password. Instead of 2, I can say just go to U1 u1, and u1 we have a key or uh, position called g. Just go there and whatever value they have, use it. Okay, so in this example, now you don't have to count third person group come up. We know we have given the group name called group or g, we use directly. Or by chance, in the example, somebody add in between one more value, for example, gid group id 101, for example. The position of this guy never changed. So you don't have to change the password here or position here, because you're not retrieving the value red hat with position number 1 or 2 or 3. We are retrieving with the key. So if you add in between some more value or remove more other values, it won't impact your further codes. So the guy, this structure of your data is called data structure, has benefit in the terms of management. When you have lots of data, okay, for one user, or maybe a lot of users we have also. Okay, so so technically in the programming world, this kind of data structure, or this kind of, I can say, data type, is known as multi-dimensional array. But normally it is known as, if you talk about python, in the python this kind of thing is known as dictionary. In some language it is known as hashes. So language to language, guys, it vary. Okay, so so in the Ansible also you can use the word called hash as a dictionary, that's okay. But you can also create the same structure in the Ansible. Okay, so let me guys create one code here to properly explain it. But one more thing I just want to tell you here is, right, guys, there's one small mistake I did here. Okay, I just want to update you what mistake I did. Okay, whenever let's say you would like to store the mobile number, phone number, and you have a lot of mobile number. So maybe mobile number 1, then 2 and 3 and 4. So normally, because these are the mobile number, same category, same thing, that is the reason we use one variable and say this is the variable or list for mobile number only. Or in the Ansible, we can say mobile number is one list, and this has a value 1, then 2 and 3 and 4. This is the syntax of the Ansible. So what I'm talking about, guys, whenever you create any variable or the list, their value is always uh, for similar attribute. Okay, it is not good practice, I can say, that these two are or three are mobile number and the last you add your password. Technically you can store, but it's not known as good management of the data. Okay, because you're going to do something on this for a mobile number, maybe you're getting some code, we pick this mobile number, send sms, send sms, send sms, and how we do, we're writing a loop, for loop on this variable on the list. But suddenly if a fourth ILU come up, password come up, and there's no mobile number, so this loop has a lot of issues. Maybe we can solve, but there's some issue come up, we can't send the password, mobile, some thing on this password as sms. So it's good practice, you guys might know, but it's good practice in the programming world. If you create any list or maybe any array, we always try to store identical means same features value. Okay, but if you see in my example, I created one variable called u1. Okay, and I store, and I tell my my Ansible, this u1 is a list. And how tell? Because I use hyphen c. It means this u1 list has 4 items. And the mistake I did is in my list, one value I store name, one is gid, one is password, one is group. Okay, so technically we can store as work. If I print it, it will also work, but it's not good in the terms of management. Because if you're creating one single variable one single variable as a list, so if you want to store 4 values, so and all the 4 values with the password or the username or the group name. Okay, if you do so, then only you can apply the loop. And guys, that was the issue, guys, I was facing that time. I stuck, and I told you I don't know how to use a loop here. So if you try to use a loop here, just think, guys, it is not possible. How can you use the loop? What do you write here? What do you write here? So normally, last example I show you loop. So I created a p variable, and all the value I stored http php. So the two values I had, or both has same feature, both are the software, both are services, both have the port number, it should be identical, right? So technically this technically I want finally hashes and dictionary. What is the benefit of this? Over this I explain you. But by chance in this example I have one more issue, that if you this u is a one variable, and I would have to tell my u1 that you are a variable, but all these things, okay, are a part of one user only. Okay, what I mean by this, okay, it should be something like this. If I try guys this example with my some language called Python, for example, I would like to store user database, okay, in a list. Or my, let's say my username is Vimal. Second user is called Jack. Third user, let's say Chris. Till here, everything is good. Everything is good. Let me just put in the string. Okay. So technically, according to UDB, they are the list, and list contain three different username. Or because they contain similar kind of data, so I can create loop and do something on the user. But let's say in the same variable, I would like to store some more information, but they are different feature or different attributes of my user. Okay. And let's say there's a mobile number. So let's say I will to store mobile number Vimal is 111. Check mobile number, I can put comma here because there's different values. I have to put comma here in this language, 222. And Chris mobile number, let's say comma 33. Technically, I store here. I can create a loop also here. Everything work good. But when you create a loop, what is the meaning of loop? Loop means do something, but same on all the data. And guys, there's no meaning to do the same thing on the name and the mobile number. For the name, we'll do something else, and for the mobile number, we'll do something else. Okay. So right now, my for loop or my code might not be. We can't properly construct the code here. So what can we do here? We can do one more thing here to tell my system that from here till here we have information for one single thing. And normally in the programming world, we create one more array inside this. This called nested array, sometimes also called 2D array, something like this. Okay, something like this. Now it's look very logical. Even though if you print also, it's very logical. It means from here till here we have just one information. From here till we have just information. From here till we have just one information. One information. And somebody want to do something on the second information. So I can say just print second information. Means this is the first information from here, and this second information. They print second. But maybe requirement some come up. I want to do something on the mobile number of Jack. So I can say just retrieve the second information of Jack and retrieve again one more time second information. There's the mobile number. Or and to do something on the on the mobile number of Vimal. So I can use 0 here, 01. Or maybe the Chris. But guys, if you see here, there's some symmetry. Okay. In one variable, I store different datas. Vimal means username, let's say, and the mobile number. But if in the future, if you want to do something only on the mobile number, or we have to create a loop for the mobile number, so we can retrieve the mobile number, send SMS, we retrieve the mobile number, send SMS. So we can create a loop very easily, because now in this syntax, if you see this symmetry, this part is fixed, this one is fixed, only this part is changed. So we can create a loop and we can put variable here, I0, 1, 2, and they can retrieving the values. Or maybe if a requirement to only retrieve the username, I can just keep on changing again the first value. They keep on retrieving the username. So technically, whenever guys you try to store any data, we always has to store in very appropriate, guys, very big topic actually it is. I've worked a lot in data structure, okay, and graph databases and hierarchy databases, and tons of things is there. Management of data is so critical, okay, to optimize your code. Even though if you don't properly manage the data, there's some example, maybe if we increase your computing CPU like anything, it won't give you great performance. One of the great example is graph database. If you know by chance, in social media we have a connections, and LinkedIn we have connections. So those are the graph database. So they store in a very different order, different format. By chance, anybody who are from here in my earth training, so we have an entire detailed discussion on data structure. So don't worry, we'll discuss everything over there. But I just want to give you very high level overview, just trying to relate the basic concept. Then I will move to the Ansible. Okay. So finally, guys, what I'm talking about, okay, if you want to create a variable, let's say user DB here, same thing you want to create in the Ansible. Okay. And what I'm doing, guys, here, I'm just saving, going to other file, because this file is not at all appropriate in the terms of management. What is better way to create or right way to create? Let me go to the next file and okay, and task. Before the task, let me use a variable, and I'm going to create a variable name called USDB. And what I want, what I want in this USDB table, my requirement is store information of 3 different users or 3 information I would look to create. This is my requirement, 3 information in one variable. So finally, 3 lists we have to create. That's all. And now in this 3 list, one of the information I have is the name, and second thing is mobile number. Okay. Second information we have again the name and the mobile number. Okay. And third information again the same. We have the name or the mobile number. That's all. So technically, whatever I create in the Python or maybe in other language also same kind of syntax we have. Okay. Same thing we can do in the Ansible also. But only difference in the Ansible, right? Here, what Ansible say, this is a variable, and I know this list, and this list contains only 3 items. Even though if you ask this list, how many items you have, they have 3. Even though by chance in the Python we have a length function and ask how many items you have, that's only 3. Maybe it look like lot of 6 maybe, but by chance technically we put in this box. So it's only 1, this 1, and this 1, 3 total. Same thing 3. Okay, but in the other language, normally we put one complete item in this kind of box. Okay, but in the Ansible, we don't write this box. Instead of a comma, we write in this format. Instead of this comma, we write in this format, or we write in this format. Okay, but if you notice here, guys, here, I'm not giving any hyphen here, because if you give hyphen here and hyphen here and hyphen here, then according to USDB, this item and this item is different. This item has 0%, this item has 2%. And technically, according to USDB, they will have 6 total items. They will have total 6 items. But actually, we have only 3 items. By chance, why I give enter here? Because for me, in my first item, this is work as a username, and this will work as my phone number, something like this. Okay, this is one thing. And I guys already explaining one more concept here. By chance, in this example, if you want to retrieve some value, you should know the position number 1, 0, 1, then 2, or maybe in the 2, this is the phone number, this is the name. So again, we are going for the older way or index way. So instead, we use the numbers. What can we do? We can give this guy a key name, like name equals to Vimal, let's say phone, sorry, equals to 1. Okay, so that's more logical. So in the future, if you want to retrieve the name of first item, I can say go to first item, retrieve the name. And I don't have to, for example, I would like to retrieve the mobile number of second item. So let me write here. I think we don't have to give double quotes here in the key. So this is my key, or 1 is my value. Or let's say this is my key and 2 is value. So guys, you know what? If you want to retrieve, let's say in this example, if you want to retrieve the mobile number jack, so you know what you have to do? You have to just go to first item, then second item, and second item you have to count 1 and 2. And after 2 you count, okay, second person we have mobile number, then you have to use 1 here to retrieve, something like this. But in this example, if you want to retrieve the mobile number of second item, you don't have to count. Okay, maybe this might possibility we add one more item in between, let's say password. Even the position change, but because the key is the same or the index name is same, so whatever position they are, you don't have to count is coming third person or first person, right? You have to just use this key. What I mean by this, let me show you demo, you come to know. But this is a better way to arrange your data. Okay, let me give this guy also a name. Okay, key, and this is the phone number. Okay, so this is exactly like the way you normally arrange data in hashes or dictionary in other programming language that we are doing in the Ansible. So guys, this is one variable I created. Okay, let me show you with some print so you can comfortable with this. So for now, if I use debug module and ask, we have one variable, and by chance here the variable name is called userdb. Can you please help me to print the entire variable? And by chance this is my task actually. Okay, so I'm asking to print the entire variable. It is something like this. I'm asking my Python to print, sorry, entire variable. So they print entire variable. Okay, same thing we're doing, but only difference here is here we are using the index number 0, 1, 0, 1. But instead of the index, anybody who know Python, in the Python we have a dictionary. So we have created a dictionary here. Okay, so let me use Ansible playbook to play this playbook. Okay. Now if you see guys here, it is something like this. They print something like this. Okay, but guys, whenever you see this square bracket in Python or maybe in the Ansible, that represent it is a list. And why is list? Because I created hyphen here. So this make this guy is a list. But inside this list, this format is known as a dictionary. Okay, so whenever this guy any curly braces start and end, it means it is a one block. It is a one value. Okay, and this value will have multiple attributes, you can see. Okay, and if you see key value pair also, the technique is called dictionary. And by chance who know Python, in the Python also we always represent the dictionary in this format. Okay, but in this example, by chance from here till here we have position 0, position 1, and position 2. So if you ask UserDB, can you please print position number 2? Okay, so I can ask the way I always show you position number 2 in 0, 1. So they will only print the position number 2 for you. Okay, but you know what guys, now this time you will see a difference. Position 2 is one of my username. Okay, or let's say position 1 is one of my username or one of my details or one of my details of one particular object. Okay, but here if I wanted to know, okay, can you please tell me the phone number of user 1? Can you tell me the phone number of user 10? Can you tell me the phone number of user 11th? Now for me that is not important where the username place. We might place on person number 1 or person 10. We are interested only in mobile number. We're interested only in the password, or we're interested only in the phone number. So we don't have to count 0 and 1 and 2. What can we say directly? Because now we have given our own position. So what can we say? So what are the username you fetch here? Okay, just give me the phone number of this, or the name of this. And because this key we have given, and we can give in any of the order. Maybe we write phone first and name second, something like this. Okay, we have to just remember our attribute name. Now what it will do, for example, let me use 2 here. So they go to third item of UserDB is 1, 2, and 3. And in the third item, they will go and retrieve the phone number wherever they are. And finally, they print the phone number of the user 3. Now, in this example, if you try to use a loop. Okay, for example, now let's me guys convert this example in some realistic example here. Let's say we have a requirement. My requirement is something like this. For example, I want to create a user called Vimal123 with the password called Let's say, let me store the password in the p variable, let's say red hat. Okay, and I want this user are a part of group called LW123. So this is my one requirement. Or because this is entire one requirement, so it's an entire one block. So I store in one single block. It is something like this, one single block. Okay. Then I have one more user called jack123, and I want the password jack123. Let me store in the. Guys, if you notice here, I'm using same pattern: name, pg. This is my key name I'm using. You can give anything, right? So again, for this, I'm giving the password called, let's say, 1234, and group name for this user is again, let's say, LW123. And let me create one more user called Chris, and the password for the Chris is 333, and the group for this password, let's say, I have already, guys, one group already created in my system. Let's say the group name I had is called um, let's call Tom group. Okay, just for testing, Tom I'm using. Okay, now what am I recommending, guys? I have created my information in this format. This is called dictionary format, or a complex data structure format, I can say. Okay, now in this example I can very easily create a loop. Even though if you have some requirement, let's say, can you please help me to print the password of Chris, or password third user? So this 0, 1 and 2. So in second item, can you please print the password? So I can say P. So because I have given my own key P. So pretty straightforward, we can very easily use this. Okay, or because we can use, so we can create a loop also. Now how can we create a loop? You can see the printed. Now if you have a requirement to create a user of these names, and I want whenever this user create, they will have these password, and I want whenever they have this password, this user belong to this group. Or now we have three different information, or maybe 3,000 information, just by one single uh, task. I can do all the things. For example, user task, and let me, guys, copy my code we have already created, so to save the time. Okay, so let me copy my code from here. Now this code will have logical sense here now. Okay, let me copy the code till here. Sorry, guys, 1 minute. Copy. So my task is this one. Now I'll say this user will create a user. Okay, and where the name come from, I can say name will come from a variable called user db. In the user db, and in the user db, right, um, they will retrieve first value. And now understand one thing, guys. Whenever you create a loop, for example, this loop is a for loop, and guys, for loop we always apply in the variable like this. So for loop, the word there I show you already. For loop we always apply on the variable, but in this variable they retrieve first item is stored in the I. Same thing. So we apply for loop in this variable. So you have to write a variable name actually here. Actually here. And in this variable, the first item is this entire block. This is the entire, because when you start hyphen until the hyphen close, it is the first item. So this entire first item is stored in the I. Okay, here I told you in the Python, I is a predefined name is called item. Okay, so they will be stored in the variable called item. But technically, item store all the thing. But this entire block is not a normal value or the string. This is actually a dictionary. Or in the dictionary, this is the key. So technically, what I would like to use here, I would like to use my username. So I can say item, whatever you store here, just go and retrieve the name, key, and their value. For example, let me take this example again. Let me store here. So for example, when I use the loop, they go to this list, retrieve first block or first item, and this is the entire first item. And this entire item is stored in the temporary variable called I, means item here. But in my task user, I'm interested in to retrieve the password, and I know in this entire block, p is a variable or key that is store my password. So I can say dot p only retrieve the password. And similarly here in my item, only retrieve G. Okay. So this example, maybe if you try to practice 4 or 5 times with different small example, which you become comfortable. But if you notice, guys, very interesting example it has been created. Okay, why it is interesting? Because first let me change this. This is the again it write in this format. So why this is interesting? Just by writing one code, if you have thousands of users, they will create. But interesting thing, those thousand users is not just the name of the user, the way I show you HTTP or PHP software. Okay, every information has a multiple sub information, or every information has a lot of attributes. So this is the first item, a lot of attributes. Second item, a lot of information. Third item, name, password, group, maybe more. So we are handling this kind of data uh, structure. Okay, and for this, I use hashes or the dictionary here who collect my this data. It's called data collection. Okay, and this is the way I structure this. But don't worry, guys. This kind of example we keep on coming. I don't want to discuss much about the data structure because this is the Ansible class. A lot of guys from corporate might know this data structure. I don't want to invest the time, but anybody from the Earth learner, don't worry. In the Python class, you are guys are going on. I will explain you dictionary from very basics, and this kind of example we create more simpler example and more complex example there. Okay, so don't worry, guys. We have a separate class on data structure. We'll discuss everything there. Okay, but Ansible, I don't want to discuss more in basic level to save the other times, other guys' times. So now you can see here, it will. Now if you see here, now we are creating loop, and because in the loop we have 3 items, so they run the loop 1 time, 2 time, and 3 time. Okay, and they are running the loop on the item 1, item 2, and item 3. And because I'm running this playbook in my local computer, so very quickly, if you see in my local computer, all the 3 user has been created. If you see in the local computer, right, 2 of the user automatic belongs to group LW123, and one of the user belongs to Tom group. Because I written in my code, okay, I written in my code that this user belong to Tom group and this user belong to this group. And this is just a key name, you can give anything, but whatever key name you use, just retrieve or reference the same key name here. Okay, very small limitation, guys, in this code we have is when I set the password, sorry, we store the password in this file. Okay, and guys, in this example, guys, you know what, password is stored in this format. Okay, so guys, anybody who open this file, they can see the password in very clear text format. They can see the password. First of all, guys, it is not good practice to store the password in this format. We always store the password, in this format. By saying it is not known as encryption, it's called hash, SHA or MD5 hash. Okay, that is normally not as such breakable. Okay, so a second thing, if you store the password in this format, okay, your Linux doesn't support the text format password. Okay, so guys, if you talk about the any OS, maybe not Linux, but if you talk about Linux operating system, so so in the Linux operating system, especially in Red Hat version 7 or 8, they support the password in this format. So guys, from here till here, we have the password. By chance, this format is called SHA 5112 or 51218 or 21456. So this is called hash format. Again, if you're older version of Linux, they have a MD5 hash. So if you don't store the password in this format, okay, your system won't able to use this password. Right now, password is in this format. It's called clear text. And clear text password, if you store, it won't work. How I check? So right now, guys, this user has been created. Let me try to log in with this user, Chris123, with this password. So I'm going to all control F3, my black screen, and I'm using Chris123 with a password called 3333. It's not working. The password stored in the file, but it is not working because they support a password in the format called SHA or 5112. Sorry, SHA 5112. Sorry. One minute. So let me log into my system. Okay. So how can we do? So for this, guys, we have one function available. Even though if you go to Ansible doc user, they also tell you there the one of the attribute we have is called it's called password. Okay, user password. They store the value in clear text. Beware security issue. This is a security issue, but in the lens, it also doesn't work. But if you want to encrypt the password, I don't know why they mostly use the wrong word. It is not encryption. Encryption is a different concept altogether. It is called hash. But if you want to use a hash format, it's called SHA 5112. There's a link they provide you, and this link, guys, they give you some function of the Ansible. Okay, maybe there. So technically, what I'm talking about. So if you want to use this password, by store the password in hash format. So what can you do? So in this password, what is this? Sorry, what this variable is? This variable is one of the password. Let's say in this case, Red Hat is a string. So in the Ansible, guys, there is some concept. I will discuss this concept in more detail. And this comes to a pipe. Okay. So before you give this information to the password parameter, I can convert my string into integer to string, or in integer some other format, JSON, lots of things we can do here. Okay. But if you want to convert your string, your clear text string into a password that Reddit supported is called hash format. So we have function called password underscore hash function. And we can define here which algorithm you want to use, MD5, SHA. So I say I just wanted to use SHA 5112 algorithm to convert. Okay. So what the guy this concept pipe here is, and so there will some more example come up, but technically this string in the first block perspective is Red Hat is a string. So Red Hat first go to this function. This convert function will convert into this bigger password like a encrypted, but it's called hash, and that will go to a password, and password will store in the shadow file. Okay. Now if I run my this code have a proper logical meaning. So if I run my this code, okay, this time again they change the password. Now this they will store actual password in the actual format. Okay. And what happened? Sorry, here the password obviously should be in string, right? So I want password 33, but it should be the data type of p should be, or data type of this variable should be string. Okay. So now what happened? Now this is the what exactly we wanted to done. Now code run, and now if I show you, okay, my shadow file, now you can see everybody has a password. Even the password is 333 only, but they store the password in this hash format. And now if I go to my black screen, it's called all F2 F3, and I'm trying to log in with Chris in my local system, and I give the password 3333. And now this time, guys, you can see properly working. Account created. Okay, the account created. So working great, no challenge. Okay, so technically, guys, this kind of code, whatever I created here, okay, is very much useful if a lots of information, okay, a lot of information like info 1, info 2, 3 for the user or something else, okay, that you want to create or configure from the Ansible, there the use of loop come in play. But one information might have multiple attributes, okay, then creating the information in this format is very interesting in terms of simple management. Okay, and so that we can also create a loop very easily. That is the main thing but to be discussed. This code, this code is very useful, where a lot of places we have to use this play code, and maybe maybe you have a recommend to create a similar information in multiple systems. Just create it once and keep on running it. So this is also a good way to manage the thing. Okay, but maybe some more example might come up in the future class. Okay, so now guys, that's all for today's class. One small information for you. My next class, guys, I'm going to explain you very interesting concept of security in the Ansible called privileges escalation. Escalation. Okay, so this might be my next class, obviously on the next week, then it's Tuesday. Okay, but for the guys privilege escalation, you should know a one basic concept of Linux is called sudo. Okay, so anybody who by chance don't know sudo, right, and the good thing is you should know sudo in the right format. So maybe most of guys know how to use sudo, but how sudo work behind the scene and how they transform the user, how they get the power and something like this, most of the guys I've seen they don't properly doesn't know. So if you really want to understand the privilege escalation class of security of Ansible, if you're good in sudo, it will help you to logically understand what are exactly happening in my Ansible class. Okay, so this topic guys normally belong to Linux, so I'm going to share one of my recent video I have delivered in my RSCSA class. Okay, that will purely on the sudo, one single class on sudo. Highly recommended. A lot of extra interesting information guys you will get from there. But some of the information from this class is basic prerequisite for my next topic. So I'm sharing this class to you in your group, so please go through it and then you guys can attend the next class very easily. Okay, so that's all guys for today. I'll share this code to you and now you can add some more thing on the top of this, but just guys try to practice my simple variable or the list and keep on adding the way I try to explain you today. So um, so guys, that's all. Any queries if you have, you can ask me. Okay, somebody asking me, yes, we can use this concept I already explained to you. If you talk about loop, I have explained guys loop in my Ansible classes, but that loop is called ginger template. And ginger template guys you can use only with the template or something like this. So if you want to use template model, you can use the ginger template there. I explain you curly braces, percentage, for something like this. It is only applicable for the ginger template. But in my code, my playbook, we can't use a ginger template here. So if I say, can you use a ginger template over this variable and write a user task? No, we can't. We can use a ginger template only in template file, means like a configuration kind of file that normally we process, then we upload. So I already guys explain you for loop, but it is with respect to ginger. Okay, and this is the for loop directly in your playbook. Yes, Teja, you can create your I think you're talking, can we create our own language? Answer is yes. You can also create your own language. I have a way for this. We might discuss in the future discussion. So Raktim asked me, user at the group root, can this work? Yes, Raktim, it will work. You can create your user and the like Jack 3 you asked me, and it could be the part of your root group. And what a benefit of this? Okay, so the benefit of this is Jack 3 will have all the power wherever the root group has given, not root user. Root user is a different thing. Raktim, root group is a different thing. So wherever root group has a power, Jack 3 user will also have a power. And what I mean by power is called permission. And if you guys by chance have attended my permissions classes Linux, you might understand what I'm talking about. Can we use a vault here? Girija, I don't understand what exactly you're talking about, vault. But in this example, there's no meaning of the vault. Yes, yeah. I think you might talking about this one. Yes, this password, obviously, we don't want to present over here. So now what can you do? You can replace this password with one more variable, and that variable with a real value password you can store in the vault. Okay, so I think you very much, Girija, you may very much link here. Yes, in this example, using the vault has a has a better way to secure your thing. So all the code is same. Instead, just password is just stored in the vault. So as a loop, also called yum command again again. Yes, Rishi, you are right. If you're talking about the time complexity here, yes, if you create a loop, you will have. If you guys go through my Earth classes, so I explained you there. Loop has a some kind of big O notation, some time complexity they have, but it is not about the loop, right? Instead, if you use a package module two times, okay, so technically they also impact your space also, means the RAM also, because they load yum command two times, and loading the yum command, running to command two times, it will give you more CPU time. Okay, so Rishi, don't worry if you don't understand my explanation right now. In my upcoming discussion of DSA classes of yours, I will discuss this point in more detail. Okay, so but yeah, loop has more time community, but instead of loop, if you call mm, package mode 10 times rather than the loop, run the in the loop 10 times, calling 10 times manually have a huge time complexity. Huge means huge. Why? We will definitely discuss more on it. Yes, Gaurav, I think we have announced, we have created DevOps community to go more deep dive in respect to technology. So I think we are launching Kubernetes, and I think for Kubernetes we have done something for the DevOps community. We make it free, I believe, right? So I think it's free for you, right? You don't have to pay, and there we go more deep dive in Kubernetes, but some more extra integration like Cryo, some more things, right? So we keep on launching some great technology training for you guys. So uh, I use that you ask me deep database P or database dot P. Okay. um, Actually there has some small difference here. If you store this part, one minute, if you store this, where is my mouse, if you store this uh, entire data directly in your dictionary variable, okay, we have a, then we don't have to use dot p, we can use item bracket p, that normally we use other languages. But by chance this entire block is stored in this variable, and by chance this variable is a dictionary because we stored multiple item, that is the reason we use dot p. Okay, so there's a difference here. Okay, but I know when single go is not properly understandable, just start with basic variable creation and writing this code. In some time you will understand what I'm talking about. Okay. Ajit, you say for practical you are trying to install Apache 2 in Kali Linux using Ansible. So Python app not installed there. Just go and check that particular version of Kali has a support for apt-get or not, or apt or not. If they have, so because your Ansible is calling, so if Ansible calling sometimes some command, for example, at apt-get in some Linux, so Python are using some kind of libraries. Okay, maybe in that Kali Linux, they are looking for the Python library called Python apt, and that Python library is not installed. So what can you do, Ajit? You can use one more task that's called pip. You know, pip we use in some of my class, and ask the pip first to install Python apt library, and then run the second task to install Apache 2. So I think this might solve your problem. Pankaj, I definitely try to have one class on Ansible Tower, that's a web UI. I'll try, but uh, if we have a time in my final classes, right? In my, if there's some days left, I'll definitely try to touch those. Okay, but my intention here to touch as much as the concept of the Ansible. Why Paladin password is bad? Because Utkarsh is easy to guess and easy to break. So normally hackers keep on Guessing the password is easy. This is called dictionary attack, right? So in the dictionary kind of attack or rainbow attack, special dictionary attack, right, in password breaking, penitent kind of password can be easily break, because they are using their approach to checking the password is commonly used, and a password that is palindromes. So that is the reason we say password is bad, palindrome. You never read my query. No, Suman, it's not like this. I try to read every one query, because every day I've got hundreds of queries here. So I scroll up and down, and as I see the query in my front of my screen, that time I read the question and I give the answer. Maybe your query might not come in my screen, maybe, but don't worry. If you have some query and you think is important, it's not been addressed by me. If you again ask, I don't know which, because my chance in Q&A it will go up and down. So otherwise, you can put in my group, or you can put in my LinkedIn profile, right? In my message, I will reply to that. Don't worry, Suman. Can I decrypt MD5? Avinash, actually, technically, if you say a lot of tool available in the market, they commit, they can decrypt the MD5 hashes. Technically, nobody can. Whatever they can decrypt is a pre-created rainbow tables, but nobody can decrypt the MD5 or SH. Hackers community comment, or they say they can, but nobody can, if you talk about technically. Okay, so my answer is no. But if you see some of the part has been decrypted, it is pre-created. Some of the hash table is called rainbow tables, otherwise not. So MD5 SSH is one of the powerful algorithms. Use case for group wares and hostware, I will explain you within this example. I believe when I talk the topic of role, okay, a role, that time I will explain you the use of group wares and hostware keywords. uh, yes, Vivek, I think Vivek also asked me, can we do not operate the playbook changes, can we add the variable to our and use that that files? Yes, Vivek, there's actually a use case. We don't operate normally playbook once it's been tested and created. So again, I think your answer is also been answered by a topic called role. A role is a way actually we implement the play. Everything is same, but role is a way to manage the thing. So maybe in the next week I will explain a role. So what Vivek you asking, it will be done. It will be answered. You want to input the value to the user. I think Jyoti, in my initial classes, I given you one keyword called where prompt. So where prompt is a keyword. Instead of the where, you can use where prompt, through which you can input the value. How many maximum node we can configure? Piyush, it is actually a configurable feature. In Ansible, we can change, or plus Ansible behind this will work as SSH. So it is also a limitation of SSH, client side protocol, I can say, client side tool. But logically, a lot of managed node you can configure. Why a lot, or I can say unlimited? Because by default nature of Ansible, they are configuring it serially, one by one. So if you're 1,000, 10,000, doesn't make any sense. Yeah, if you go to parallel, then it might be some limit in the terms of how much they support behind the scene SSS client. Okay, but normally they support a lot. Bhavesh, can you please again as message me? I think you're talking about my message on LinkedIn. So if you can again message me, so I will check my, because every day I've got a lot, so I might miss your 16 December message. So let me check a few more queries here. In AWS, how to recover the lost key? It is asked Mohawk, you to ask in my interview. Which key, Mohawk, if you little bit elaborate which key you're talking about? If somebody asks you, can you retrieve the lost secret key from your IAM? Okay, answer is you can't. Okay, why? If you somehow you can recover your lost secret key, so it would be one kind of great security bug in the AWS. So technically, biologically, also, in if you lost your, I'm talking about here IAM secret key, okay, of your account. If you lost secret key, you can't recover it, but you can create a new. So there they give options to create a new key there. Plus, it is also, this question may be linked with other perspective also. Are you managing a secret key, some vault or some keychains? There's a different advanced concept there also. We can somehow look like recover we can do, but if I take it as a basic level question here, how to recover lost key, I'm talking about IAM secret key. So no, we can't, but we can create a new. So I think, guys, that's all for my side for today. Other queries, guys, can be solved in my new classes, or maybe you can ask in my next classes. So that's all from my side, and see you in the next class. Bye. Take care. See you. Why we use localhost IP here? Aditya, actually, localhost means we are running my code playbook in my local system. So nothing special here. I just want to test my code in my local system. I don't want to go to my manager node again and again. So to make it faster, I just use localhost. So after run the code, I can check my system that it is working or not. That is the only thing. Okay. That's all, guys. Good day. Goodbye. Take care. See you.